Theatre in Victoria had no criticism, by the way, of the staff or cast of the actual production of Wicked. It's mainly the theatre which did this thing of kind of bouncing his son out. Not everyone is sympathetic, actually. Robert Lee in Coventry, good afternoon to you.
Hi, Jeremy.
Now, you had an experience.
Chap.
Yeah.
Now, it seems to me that the word autism these days is bandied around. What it is, I live in Coventry, and when somebody in the local paper, whether they vandalise a car, the excuse is, oh, he's got autism, or you have some kids in Tesco's, they're going mad, oh, he's got autism too. It just seems that autism these days is bandied around like a fashion accessory, when there's just a lame excuse, or the parents can't look after their children, no discipline. Autism is a nice little, cop-out so that they can, get away from the excuse that their children are misbehaving.
Right, well, hang on.
I know a woman recently, I'm not going to even name her name, but she said to me, she goes, all my 5 children have got autism. She goes, I've got autism, my husband's got autism. And I thought, well, has the dog got it as well? Do you feel these days that it's bandied around as just a cop-out, an excuse?
Just hold on, Robert. Let's bring in Christine Mills, who's in Blackpool in Lancashire, because I think you should respond to this, Christine.
I wouldn't know what to say. I wouldn't know what to say to that.
Your child...
His response, but when our story is very similar to Gregor's, it's some years ago that we took our boy to see Mamma Mia in London, and he'd been to several musicals, loved musicals, and always behaved appropriately. He had cerebral palsy, and we were, when people were dressed up in Mamma Mia, and he only used to get excited when anybody else got excited. So when other people were standing up and dancing and singing, he started to clap and was excited at the same time.
Yeah.
And at the interval, we were asked to leave the theatre as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
But our boy needed used a wheelchair, and his wheelchair was at the back of the theatre. He could walk a little bit, but not well. They didn't bring the wheelchair to us. We had to make our way to the back of the theatre to collect it. We used to go regularly with several friends who also had children with additional needs, with Down syndrome and other conditions. And but there was only us asked to leave. We came out and we were asked to sit at the back of the theatre, and he could watch it on a big screen.
Which is not the same, I guess.
No, he didn't. He knew, and he wasn't happy. We just sat and waited for our friends.
And your son, I know your son is no longer alive.
No,
is that right?
No, that's right.
And cerebral palsy is a very, very serious condition,
Yeah.
and we all know about it. The point that Robert is making is that autism is now used as a label for bad behaviour. So what do you say to that?
Well, it's difficult to respond to somebody's opinion like that, because from the sound of him, it wouldn't matter what I said. But I know my daughter is a teacher and has spent a year teaching children with autism, mm-hmm. and she may be the best person to respond to somebody like that. But it wouldn't matter what I said. But if he had a child with autism, he'd know.
Come back in, Robert.
I do know it exists. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that these days, all of a sudden, in the last, say, 10, 15 years, everybody, majority of kids who are unruly, have got autism. And how many have completely got it genuinely?
Okay, let me bring in Fiona Oxley-Goody in Chelmsford. Your son is down as autistic, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I've got a 9-year-old, shortly due to be 10, who is severely autistic with profound global developmental delay. With due respect to Robert's comment, there is a huge spectrum of autism. So you can have high-functioning autistic children that just have issues with the social side of things. At the other end of the spectrum, you have my son Logan, who at 9 and 10 is non-verbal, can't sign, doubly incontinent, but at the same time is delightful, happy, smiley little chappy.
Can I just
that has
ask,
the same
Fiona,
rights as anyone else.
I'm only interrupting, Fiona, because we haven't got that much time, and we're just sticking on this business of the theatre and the issue of how much leeway the theatre needs to give, and actually also people in surrounding seats need to give when a child maybe is reacting differently to what's on the stage.
In fairness to everybody has paid money for a ticket and everybody has a right to enjoy the show. If it was behaviour as in somebody being drunk or being rowdy, etc., that would be unacceptable because you can control that. That's no way about that. If you have an autistic child who makes noises, such as my son, because that's what he does, it's part of his disability, are we saying that his rights are different to that of somebody that's in a wheelchair, where you have to make allowances in order to access them to the theatre? I mean, do we need to say that in future that if I wanted to take my son to the theatre, I need to let the proprietors know when I'm booking my ticket so that they can try and put me in a seat that they think isn't going to be inconvenient should my little boy make his E-noise that he makes in the same way you might cough or sneeze?
Okay, Fiona, thank you. Let's go give that some thought. We've got lots of comments. I just want to try and read a few out. And thank you if you've commented. Damien Wilson is moored on the Thames in a narrowboat. That's the most dramatic address we've had so far this week. He says, I'm an actor. An actor. I once played the lead in the national tour of Les Miserables. And I think disturbances from the audience are just a part of the experience. You often have people with disabilities. You've got to accept any slight noise issues that might bring. Everyday people can be just as disruptive. I remember once in Dublin, I was in the middle of a song. A guy's phone went off. Somebody had a go at him. It ended up with a fight in the audience. You've just got to get on with it. Tony Rimmer emails, my wife who suffers with multiple sclerosis was once asked to leave a restaurant. They assumed that she was drunk. Paul Smith in Perthshire texts, this population would do well to understand there are certain things in life that not everyone can participate in. Unfortunately, this boy, by his condition, was unable to behave in the manner required of theatre-goers. His parents were selfish to take him. It's sad, but leave him at home, he says. Really interesting comments in all kinds of parts of the spectrum here. Leslie emails, I've got 2 autistic nephews. Travelling with them on a plane once, a woman hit one of my nephews, told him to shut up because she wanted to sleep. The airline wouldn't move us to other seats as they said there were none available. It's very often difficult for parents and family and carers taking out disabled children. But do we want to go back to shutting these children away? And Al in Windsor, Texas, people, as much as I sympathise with this family, people save up for months to go to the theatre, and it is not fair if the majority have their evening compromised. Here are the Smiths.